Well, hello there, ladies and gents. I'm Tammy Sapniewski, your crypto queen. Another AMA tonight, and we are joined by Jeremiah, who is the main developer of Oscar Charity Token. Jeremiah,
So not to cut in this early, but I think yours, yeah, I was like that just went black right away
that
as
just
soon as you
went
started talking.
sideways.
Yeah, way to start it. Kind of breaks the ice there, like mechanical failure.
So, welcome, Jeremiah from Oscar Charity Token. Jeremiah, thank you so much for joining me with the AMA.
Yeah, for sure. It's great to be here.
Thank you. Now, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you came to be involved in cryptocurrency.
So, I, uh, I personally, so I'm 23. I live in Colorado. Kind of a little background on me. I've my previous career, I was in gold mining for 10 years. And then I needed a attitude adjustment a little bit because I was just stuck in this bad place. I was angry all the time and everything. So my wife and I decided to open a tanning salon, and just it was how much it helped us growing up as far as being born and raised in Alaska, that depression was a big thing with the darkness and lack of vitamin D and whatnot. And so kind of led us here. It gave me a little bit of time sometimes when days were slow to kind of get into things. And, I was into stocks and whatnot years ago. Didn't really take it too far. And then kind of heard the hype about Doge last year and jumped in with that. And then, I kind of jumped on XRP for a little bit. And it just, once I started realizing, wondering how people were making more money off of Doge and how this whole get in early thing kind of started, that started looking into seeing where it all came from. And that's when I found Dex tools and just kind of got into a few things. And I jumped in, Shiba, and I jumped in Saitama back in July. And then I put a little bit in there, and then I jumped into fake Shiba bone, and it took everything I had, all the Saitama I had, all the Shiba, everything, because I thought I was getting in early and jumped into a rug pull. And so I ended up with nothing.
Oh,
Took a
goodness.
few months off just because I was, upset from losing, a couple $1,000 is a big deal. And then just decided to jump back on it, got into Kishimoto back in November, and then just kind of moved forward from there, and got on with List when they decided to launch, and stuck with them for quite a while too, and is still with those guys. Really great relationship with them, and figured it was time for me to try and start my own, and started doing a lot of research, especially with the contacts that we had at List. That I have a Kaiba contract now, Kaiba DeFi, and so just went that way and talking with devs there a lot and kind of brainstorming on different things, and came down to this with the charity token itself.
So let's get into the Oscar Charity Token. And you do have a beautiful website. So your initial website was not that great when you initially
Yeah,
launched, but this new website is
it's pretty bad.
absolutely beautiful. But I've seen that happen. That's happened with a couple of tokens that I've reviewed, that their initial website was not so beautiful, but then their
Yeah,
next website was absolutely gorgeous. And that's the case here. Your website is absolutely beautiful. And of course, I have your website address scrolling at the bottom of the screen. If anybody wants to jump and take a look, you're more than welcome. So let's talk about this charity token. You started a cryptocurrency. What compelled you to do a charity token, and why did you pick this particular charity?
so this particular one, I what made me want to do it, I mean, I've wanted to, I didn't really know what I wanted to get into, and then there's quite a few other big name tokens that are wanting to get into the charity space and don't really have the manpower or the time to be able to do it. And so it's kind of a spot where it's like I don't really know a whole lot else, and I want to be able to have my kids come up seeing things more clearly as far as like how easy we do have it here in the US. And many other countries that are well established. Is just we personally, in my opinion, take what we have for granted, right? And so growing up, I always saw the videos on TV, the commercial saying that you donate $1 here and a kid can eat for a month or whatever the the cases were, you know, and I didn't really take it to be that real because my parents were super young. We didn't really talk anything about this because it just wasn't really a thing that we talked about, and it wasn't pushed where I grew up. And so I didn't really ever think about it growing up. And I got to the point, you know, when I was, you know, middle 20s or so, that I was single, no kids, that I just kind of lived my life, you know, as a bachelor. I didn't really take anything. I just did what I did. And then now that I got married 4 years ago, and then we had our daughter 2 years ago, and then our son 2 months ago. And with,
Congratulations, by the
yeah,
way. That's
thank you.
amazing.
Yeah. And so having them and having children really makes a huge difference in a lot of the ways that you look at a lot of things in life. And so with having them, that, you know, I turn around, I look at some of these videos or these movies that we watch, and I try and hide the tears from my wife from seeing it sometimes, because I'm this guy, and I gotta stay strong, right? And so but it really makes me come down to thinking about, like, what if I lost my children this way, and how can we do things different to make them, like, be able to see the way that life goes, and just how easy and how good that we have it, that they need to appreciate things a little bit more. And so if I can correct my way of thinking, my way of looking at things in life that right now while they're still young, that hopefully that they will come around and be able to see things in the same light when they're older, and not be able to take everything for granted as much. And so that kind of rolled into the water charity, right? As the water wells, where, you know, most of these people, or a lot of these villages that are rural, don't have the greatest, you know, technology in their areas, or the greatest supplies, or really anything, education, shelter, water, everything. It's all pretty scarce as far as, like, how well maintained the area is, or how developed it is to, you know, get these natural amenities that we take for granted to them.
That's understood. And really, water is life. You can
Yeah.
survive without food for 30 days, but without water within 3 days, you're gone. So
Yeah.
water is very important, and clean water is very important.
Yeah.
Drinking contaminated water causes a lot of different sicknesses, and it causes a lot of death around the globe not having clean water. So I do commend you for doing this charity. I think it's a very noble cause. It's a great charity, a charity I think that everybody can get behind, helping people that are in need, especially with clean water, especially with kids. You know, you
Yeah.
have 2 little cute kids right there on the website, and that always tugs at the heartstrings. So, now how does this look like? So people buy your token, and who's going to dig the wells? Like, do you have everything thought out, everything set in place?
So
How do you make that all happen?
before I even launched this, I had sourced out a charity that is one that accepts Ethereum as a donation. That way, I don't have to take this money off the blockchain, or and put it directly into my pocket itself, because I ultimately couldn't afford the taxes if that were the case, especially right now. So what this is, that we are able to donate to this specific charity, which is the Water Wells of Africa. They do have a office in California specifically for connections and U.S. based charity system with a 501c3, and I am able to donate to them through thegivingblock.com. And so that's the Giving Block is pretty much a medium system to connect with other charities in the source of donating crypto.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your tokenomics. Like, what is
Yeah.
your token supply?
So our token supply started out at 1 trillion, and then it has a 1% auto burn. So I was just going to get Etherscan pulled up real quick. With that 1% auto burn, we are actually already at 965 billion. So we've already burnt roughly 34 billion total, almost 35 billion from the total supply. And what this does is it's not just a natural burn where you're going to see it go to a dead wallet. It's going to actually be completely deleted off of the entire blockchain itself, to where when you go to look for it, it's gone. You know, our total supply is actually diminishing and so it will eventually help with the price and carrying the price upward. And then so that's just part of it. Ultimately, our entire tokenomics is 14%. 6% of that is going directly to liquidity to help build a stronger floor and to where with bigger sales or our price isn't going to be fluctuating as much. Right now, we are sitting at a $67,967 in the liquidity pool with a market cap of $276,000 at this very moment. We did have a pretty good run up today, and we had a few sales, and now we're sitting at a really good spot to be able to jump back in and set this new floor that we've had for the last 3 or 4 days, especially since we have been working on getting some more information coming out with the website and whatnot. So that first part is the 6%. And then we have another 6% that's going to the marketing, and that marketing wallet ultimately is the donation wallet and the marketing, more donation primarily. Because once we get going, major expenses we're going to have is going to be setting up a staking platform. And so there are 2 people that I'm in talks with already about which one we want to use, depending on our expectations out of it. And so once these initial costs are kind of taken off out of the way, that we will be having a lot stronger donations towards everything that we are working with.
Okay, we do. I don't mean to cut you off, but we do have our first question. And
Yep.
somebody says, and actually somebody's helping you out in the chat there. I don't know if you're able to see the chat because actually just answered the question, but I'll let you know what it is because it is an Ask Me Anything. The white paper tokenomics is very vague. Which I don't think so. I think the tokenomics is very clear cut. I haven't gone over to the white papers yet. We'll get to those though. What is the total amount of tokens issued? And you said 1 trillion. Will there be a hard cap to the maximum amount? So you're not going to mint any new tokens. Is that correct?
No, there is no minting that will be going on at all. So the hard cap, I guess right now would be the 965 billion that is currently in supply.
Okay.
And so, we will be updating the white paper as we do go along. The white paper is really well dressed, and it's got kind of to the point as far as what we have going on. And once we start branching out and more, we'll update it with what exactly we decide on as far as new charities and everything else. It's going to be kind of an evolving system as far as how we update that.
So along with this particular charity, because you're a charity token, you're not going to stay focused on this charity. You're looking at other charities. You'll probably get into other things.
Yeah. So we will
Pick
be,
anything.
we will be getting into more. We do have kind of a short-term goal in mind, which is right now we plan on sponsoring at least 5 water wells minimum, and with each of those wells based off of the average prices from Water Wells of Africa, the charity itself. They say that their average cost is right around $8,000. Now that varies from location to location, based off of how hard it is to find a good source of water, and then also the soil, getting machinery there to actually put it in, and just a whole availability of getting access to these areas with the equipment that's necessary. And so our short term, like I said, is 5 right at the moment. And then we do have some people in our community that has spoken to us directly that live in Nigeria, requesting that we try and push as hard as we can to put wells in very specific villages of which they've grown up in and they have family in still. And so that's what we're planning on doing is, trying to get that as much as we absolutely can. As far as what we're going to branch out into will be sources of helping with updating schools or a better quality education system. We haven't actually decided how we're going to get that those charities yet. We will look into it when we get closer to our goal with the water wells, of course, right now, since that is our main focus. And on top of that, we want to find a way to be able to help with shelter as far as housing or any sort of way of protection so people have somewhere to stay outside of the weather, outside of, the natural, outside bugs, everything. And then after that, we would like to get into, finding a way of finding supplies of medical supplies, food, anything that we can to help with that whole setup. But those we have not 100% figured out just yet, because we're still focused on the water wells at this point, in staying in our lane of what we originally set out to do.
We have another question. How will you decide what charities you're going to choose?
So right at this moment, like as I kind of hit on, is we don't have an exact route of how we're going to choose. We will be seeing what we can stick to with being able to donate Ethereum directly. If other charities that come up that people know of that we don't, as of when the time comes, we will definitely like to hear those and see if we can get in contact with them in some sort of way, as far as have a rep or anything we can to get them get them on board, see if we can work with them through cryptocurrency.
Another question. Are they going to get onto CoinMarketCap? I think with CoinMarketCap, you have to have a certain amount of volume over a certain amount of days to be able to
Yeah.
list with CoinMarketCap. So that's your answer. And speaking of volume, today was a wonderful day on the chart for Oscar token. As you can see, I have it on the screen right here. And at one point, you were up almost 200%.
Yeah, it
And
was.
on the day now, you stand at about up 48. And I asked you a little bit about that. I said, what's going on over there? So do you want to tell the community what caused that spike?
Yeah. So what we believe entirely is the people that we had come into the community to start to show support towards us. We had some people, some big names come from Shinja with DojaSwap. That is, something that we're going to consider bringing online in the near future. We just have to get some fine details on that ironed out, as far as what we need exactly. We're still really new. I'm learning a lot. I don't know 100% what they require, and so it's something that we're going to have to discuss in the near future. And so that team coming on and joining our community really drove that run up today.
That's big. If you
Yeah.
have people from Shibnobi behind you, that's big. To be listed on DojaSwap as you're trying to do, that's going to be really big because they're going to do a complete marketing blitz when that thing goes live. So I think that's a really great marketing opportunity, not only to, pump the chart to get your price to go higher and to get more for the charities, but just to get your name out there.
Yeah.
Name brand recognition there would be wonderful with a DojaSwap listing. And we have another question. How does your crypto compare with others doing similar things?
I think with that, ultimately, it's going to come down to a big part is transparency. I know a lot of people are talking about transparency, and this is kind of a hot topic, but ultimately, I think being involved in the community, involved in Twitter Spaces, involved with everything, to where if somebody wants to get a hold of me, they're going to be able to, whether if I respond right away or if I respond relatively quick, because I am on a lot. And then my team, my guys that are on here, because it's down in the chat, he's taking care of a lot of questions when I am away or when I am busy in a Twitter space, kind of describing exactly what we got going on. And so I think just a big part of it is not the whole thing, of course, but a big part is really how much I'm around, how much people can see my face, how much people can hear my voice, and really just know that I'm there. Like if they have a question, I'm going to be there and just keep pushing. And so it's kind of the proof of work, right? And so the first initial part of the proof of work is the fact that we've been live now. 2 hours ago would have been 1 week exactly since we've launched. And in those 7 days, we've donated 9 times for a total of 2.25 ETH so far. And we're doing it in increments of 0.25. That way we're not, putting ourselves in a potential hard place with the marketing wallet. And that in case we, need to do anything as far as pay for an AMA, or which this isn't, and so or pay for marketing in any sort, so which we are bringing on a marketing lead. They have asked to be anonymous right now, just it's just what they want to be, because they want to get us going as far as kind of training us more on how to properly utilize spaces such as the Facebook and the Instagram towards the the crypto space. And so they're going to help us out a lot. And so with that, the proof of work is going to be that big thing. And then we've also talked about proof of result. Proof of result being holding the charity accountable, being able to catch up with them and meet with them specifically, and look into at some point in time before too long, try and get airline tickets to actually go to these sites and try and verify, work, and see what our investors' money is actually going to.
That's good. That's good. And I actually, I have to always jump back to StreamYards to make sure it's there. I've pulled up your white papers, and I don't think they look too vague. I think it's, everything that you could expect from a white paper. And it is the JD. Is that because in the chat, or is this someone else?
No, JD is another person that is really, really involved in our community. I kind of attribute him to being the one that has saved this project. The very first night we were live for probably 5 hours, and he had jumped into the space, and yeah, he had jumped into the space, and he had bought in, when we had launched, and within like 5 hours after us launching, we got botted pretty heavily, to the point where tried controlling it by swapping our Telegram to private, and then my personal account wouldn't allow me to make any sort of changes at all. It wouldn't let me put it back to the public. I couldn't open any links that anybody sent. I couldn't do anything. It would just constantly just pop up loading. I tried downloading or deleting the app and reinstalling it, relogging in, doing it as much as I can, and it was stuck in private. And so it was getting really bad publicity right there, as far as like nobody can get in, nobody can really talk. The chat was locked, nothing was really going on. And so he was able to get a hold of me, and he ended up opening up a brand new Telegram and relabeled it, and so we could try and start migrating people to that to ultimately save everything. And so it was extremely effective the very first night, because I was new. I didn't know what to do entirely. I thought I had the bot set up properly. I thought I did, and it just proved that it was not. And so he came in, took over with the Telegram, which helped out a lot in getting that going, and to where I can jump back in. And then once I got a new account, because I had to go rob my wife's phone number and steal her number to actually make a new account, because mine was already kind of lost. It was so I couldn't use it, and so that's how he really started getting involved a lot.
So he stepped in with a little bit of impromptu tech support for you.
Yeah,
and then you brought him onto
and then
the game.
JD's actually the one that built the entire website.
Oh, nice job, JD.
Yeah, no, he's amazing. Like I said, he's the one that saved this entire project, and he's bringing the life to it, because he's got the skills to build all this, what everybody gets to see. Whereas I'm just the one that talks.
So we do have another question.
Mm-hmm.
Any copyright issues with Oscar? And I was thinking that too. I was like,
Yeah. So with using Oscar by itself, we are going to be okay. I have actually spoken with a lawyer already, and we have exchanged the copyright trademark numbers, pretty much the entire form of it, to where they've looked at it and they said that if we didn't make any changes at all, that we would definitely be sitting in a very, very bad position. So with that, what we've already done, starting day 2, is we started this slight rebranding where we're not getting rid of Oscar, because Oscar has its symbolism and its meaning to the entire token itself. But what we're doing is on every social media, the website, every single thing we can, the Grouch portion of it is gone. It's a matter of play of words ultimately. And so that's where everything has been changed to Oscar Charity Token. The only place where you're going to see Oscar the Grouch is on Dex Tools and anything else that is directly tied to Etherscan, because the grouch portion is hard coded to the actual contract, to where there's nothing we can change on that, and there's nothing wrong with our contract or our chart right now. And if we're not going to be in too much of an infringement right there, which the lawyer said that with that specifically, there's no image of it. It's just the name, that they personally believe that they're not going to go as far as trying to come after us, because the name on that one spot says the grouch, and with everything else is completely eliminated. And so with the artwork portion on most of the social media, still, as far as our image that people see when I'm talking or when I'm in a room, that still is an image that could get us in trouble. But I have a artist that is working on a new logo that is also doing our NFTs that we've already started rolling out also. And so with that, it's going to be all completely custom drawn, to where the percentage of what's different is going to be within range to where we should be able to avoid any sort of copyright infringement or trademark issues.
Okay, and I just actually want to bring this screen back up, because someone had just asked how to get to your white papers. And on the screen, you can see this is the homepage for their website. If you tap on this little thing that says white paper, that link will bring you to the white papers, and then you can go through them. So another question was, when do you plan to release the rest of your tokens in supply? Because you do have almost half of them vested right now, correct?
Yeah. So
do you have a release schedule? Will they be dumped all at once, or are you going to do it over a period?
It's gonna be a period of different things, right? So part of it is going to be towards a staking platform that we are talking about and looking forward towards really moving towards, to incentivize people for being able to hold Oscar token itself. And then with that, we also want it to be able to take our NFTs that are sold, in case of the NFT holders are not token holders, that they will have a value assigned to their NFT specifically, to where when they are able to stake it, they'll receive reflections directly in the resembling the value of their NFT at the same time. Now, what we also plan on doing is teaming up with as many other charity tokens as we can to help try and bring some of their tokens onto our platform, whether it be some sort of exchange of, we go put a couple ETH on their chart and they do the same as us, and the ETH that we put on their chart, we take those tokens and put them into the liquidity pool, or not the liquidity pool, but the staking platform, to be a reward for our holders itself. And then at the same time, we, if we go into DojaSwap, again, I don't know the fine details on that, but I don't know if we need to allocate tokens to them specifically for the swap. And then, if we go into any other exchange in the future, then we'll need those tokens too.
Now, you may have answered this already. With your tokens, do you have your liquidity locked?
Yeah, so we do have the liquidity locked. Speaking with List, they have direct contact with Safe Solidity, and so they were able to push through to Safe Solidity with their agreement that they have to run the contract itself, and they were able to pull up that we do have 100% of our liquidity locked, even though on Team Lock is what it's called, right? Yeah, Team Lock, Team Finance, for some reason with their platform and how it's reading everything, that it's only saying that we have 58% locked.
Talk a little bit about your NFTs. So beyond just being a charity token, you are thinking about having utility with this NFT line?
Yes.
Any leaks as far as what it's going to look like, what kind of characters are going to be? Oh, and super chat from, and you know what? Kabuto Kuji, I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that right. I'm so sorry. Awesome live. Keep up the good work. I'm all in for charity. Tammy, take it easy on him. Smile more, please. Just kidding.
Is that me?
Let's go. And way to go on Liquidity Lock. No, the men always tease me. They want me to smile more.
Okay. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
no, um, yeah, as far as the utility towards the NFT line, a big portion of pushing the NFTs this early already is that not not everybody is into crypto. You know, NFT holders, you know, sometimes those guys, all they want to do is deal with NFTs. They don't really want to jump into the crypto side, but at the same time, they still want to be able to have a way to where they can help and you know, donate towards a charity itself. And so what I'm bringing it is something to where I can put it out there to those people individually or specifically, if they don't want to get into the token, that they can go ahead and buy one of the NFTs and feel like they are doing their part, which ultimately they are. There's going to be a really big push for that. Now with that, you know, of course our guys, our holders, everybody in chat, and they're going to be able to buy the NFTs whenever they decide that they want to also. With previews of them, we do have, I think I put 3 of them out already as far as previews of what they're going to look like. So they are going to be Oscars. They're going to be sized primarily towards focusing towards the size of a child, in hopes of all this donations is going to be ultimately providing the most to children and where they're going to benefit more than anybody else. Ultimately, is what we're looking for. And so the Oscars going to be sized specifically towards a child. It's going to have, you know, many different looks. There's one that we have that's popping around that the community really likes already, which is a little red Oscar that he is in a like a Super Mario tube, like the little green ones from, you know, the games back in the 90s. And then it's got, you know, like a little trucker hat that says freshwater wells on it, and just little different things that they're gonna have. You know, some are gonna have like tattoos or aviators, just random little outfits that they're gonna have on them. And so
Did you
they're,
say you had posted examples of them somewhere?
yeah. So in the community, in our Telegram, I
Oh,
don't
in
know.
Telegram. I can't bring that up. Shucks, forget it.
Yeah. Because if you're in there, post one in on Twitter so she can jump on and check it
Oh,
out.
yeah, because I'll definitely be able to pull up the Twitter. That would be good.
Yeah. Are you able to do that?
On the Oscar page?
Um, I'll, if you can, you know, post it and tag us to where it should be something that may pop up with them. Let me see if there's a way that I can do this. Because I have it pulled up. If I can pull something up, and because I'm on my phone, of course, so majority of my images are on the phone.
Okay.
But yeah, we have.
Well, we don't wanna risk any
Yeah.
disconnection. So if
Right. Yeah, I don't
Because
want to
can
do
do
that.
it to Twitter, we can look it up there on Twitter. We do have another question from Single Guy for you. He's got a lot of them. They're actually good ones. Will there be a smart contract audit in the future?
Yes, most definitely. So what our kind of direction is that so if you, yes, so I'll just answer that question. I was gonna go off on a tangent in a different direction for some reason, but the smart contract audit will be with Safe Solidity, because again they are a direct partner with List, and so List has their platform that they're coming out with on, as far as like it'll be similar to Dext also, but it's going to have a lot more readily available information as far as right there in your face displays with tokenomics. Everything is just trying to implement, you know, safety to the community itself. So what we are doing is going the route of what they prefer to have on their platform when it comes out here in hopefully roughly a week, to where we can get listed on there and have marketing pushed with them through their platform. And with that also, we will have when we go into list with them, that we will receive $1,000 worth of list token specifically to be given through their bounty system to our community. So they'll be receiving rewards. There you go. Yeah, that's one of our little Oscars right there.
That's
So
super cute. That's adorable.
yeah, and so a lot of them are going to be in that, you know, that same fashion as I was talking. You know, it's got the Super Mario tube that he's sitting in instead of a trash can. It's kind of a lot of it's, you know, trying to relate back towards nostalgia, especially with the time when Sesame Street was really, you know, in my opinion, a lot more popular. with mainstream TV, and not so much like when there's no internet for anything. And especially, I'm 33 years old, so when I was growing up as a kid, Sesame Street was everywhere, and so that's where Oscar is kind of nostalgic for me.
I hear you. Yep. I'm a little older, and Sesame Street is nostalgic for me. It's been around a long, long time.
Yeah,
I was watching Sesame Street in the '70s. I won't say
yeah.
what
So
year, but very early.
yeah,
There were bell bottoms on the show, we'll just put it that way.
yeah. So that's gonna be, like I said, it's gonna be one of our Oscars. So you can definitely see that there's so much. There's a large amount that's completely different than what any of the art is or any of the characters are on the show itself, to where we should be completely within range of not having any sort of infringement laws acted upon us or trademarks.
Yeah, that's one thing that you have to worry about if,
Yeah,
what so you think you're absolutely going to be okay with that? You're not gonna get tagged with anything?
we should. I mean, like I said, our issue right now still is our logo that we have as our face for, primarily the social medias at the moment. The only reason I've left it there in place still is because it's became to a point where people are starting to recognize it when we come into a room. I don't want to
Right.
keep changing the picture right now to multiple different things, and people are like, well, I don't know if this is them or if that's them or what it is now. And so until we have something very solid and secure in line, that we will have that in for the time being. But I mean, at this point in time, I don't even think that we're even on the radar of anybody above us.
But the NFT that you had created here, where it almost looks like an Elmo because he's red, right?
Yeah. So that was another thing, is that I told our artists, have a little bit of a freedom with it. Granted, our uh, the Oscar itself is, the nostalgia of it is that he's green, and that a lot of the art to it is meant to be roughly, early 90s era. Is that I did also tell him to utilize more colors, like give it some attitude similar towards like I have kids, right? Towards the was it oh man, there's a cartoon that has like the 5 different characters as far as attitudes, like uh joy and sadness and anger, and it's a kids cartoon, right? I know a lot of parents in chat know exactly what I'm talking about. But I told them to try to run these characters with colors very similar to those sort of attitudes, to where it can play on the kids side of it too. And so that's where the red comes in, and we got a blue one, and then we also have a green one naturally. And so they're all going to have their own little attitudes of the sort.
Now, do you know how many NFTs you plan on making for your collection?
So this first run is going to be 250.
Do you have any of them allocated to, team members or
No, we don't have nothing allocated. We don't have no tokens allocated. We don't have anything allocated towards anybody. I didn't even get tokens specifically from this either. I just was able to put my first buy in yesterday, because I put all the money that I had towards it, that I had ultimately anymore, for crypto's side towards the launch of this token. And so I was able to actually finally make my first buy yesterday.
So when you started the token, was it a fair launch?
It it was it was kind of a stealth and a fair. We didn't really have a large community built up. We had started trying to push it out as much as we can. We didn't have any. I say we because there were a couple of friends that I had that were going to help me push this, and they're the ones that I was talking to in the back, saying, I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know if I'm even able to do it, or if I'm going to be able to figure this out. But at the same time, I had it's ultimately the fear of being able to do anything, right? You have to take that leap to actually know if you're going to be able to go through with everything, just like starting a business or like starting your YouTube channel. Initially is like, I don't know if I'm going to have views or anything, and you just got to run with it and keep going with it and staying strong towards exactly what you have planned and what you have passion for and what you want to do. And so that's where it was, is that, you know, they said, yeah, you know, do it, just push the button, deploy the contract. And so I did. So I refer to things as we, because I had a couple friends in the background that were saying, you know, we've talked about this, we've done this, we've talked about it, we've gone through it, we've done the testing, you know, we're ready as much as we're going to be. And so I think I kind of lost where that question was, and I just was going on a rant. So what was that
Well, we
again?
do have another, well,
Yeah.
somebody is pointing out first that the kids movie you were talking about, is it called Inside Out?
That's exactly what it is. I knew there was parents that were in the chat that were going to know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yep,
Yes.
Lindsay. I mean, a lot of people called it. Lindsay called it. I think the single guy for you, he called it. Like a lot of people, as soon as they said that, and
Yeah.
someone
So,
pointed out that Sesame Street started in 1969, and then in the chat, because is saying, "Is it okay to share the sample of Oscar?" So I think it's a little late for that, right? Is that the one that
yeah.
we already
So,
showed on the
so,
screen?
yeah. So that's one of them. I think he might be talking about the one that, so our artist, before we, you know, we had a friendship initially, which was just ultimately talking on space. So we didn't really know each other very well. So the first one that he made us, he put the sample stamps over it, kind of like watermarking. So we just couldn't use it. And so once we get everything going, he just texted me a little bit ago that his wife is having his child tonight too. And so that he's going to be out for just a minute, but he'll be working on everything again once everything's calmed down. So, you know, if he's listening or watching, you know, I hope everything's going well, bud. And, with that, yeah, if he wants to post that one too, that has the symbols over it to where you can actually see our green Oscar. And so the differences on that one too, again, you know, straying away from the potential of infringement and everything, is that we are not going to be using a trash can in any of them. We're
Right.
getting, that's gone, right?
Right.
So this one is actually a like a cinder block like water well, like a old water well that used to have like a crank in a water bucket that you dip, you know, your bucket down in, roll it back up to get water out of ultimately. And so that's what that one is with a Ethereum. There it is right there. Yeah. So if you were to click on it and kind of zoom in, you can see the sample watermarks over top of it. But yeah, where he's got a little bit more of an attitude to him, you know, closer towards the Oscar side of things. And but yeah,
Yeah,
it's got
that's definitely more of an Oscar right
yeah.
there, for sure.
Yeah,
Very
but
cute.
our artist, he's absolutely amazing. And but like, it's instead of like a trash can lid, also he has the Ethereum coin on top. And so there's a bunch of them that are gonna, you know, have their own routes as far as that and facial expressions. And then we have a blue one that is out also that kind of goes back to that a little bit, but it's got a steel pipe around him instead of a regular water pipe or the Mario I don't. Yeah, he didn't post it right there. Yeah, my picture's on my phone, so it might have actually made it through chat without being pinned. I don't think it did, but it might have. And so, yeah, because he's a huge one in our chat. Also, he answers so much, so he's everywhere. He's a big help as far as, you know, the life of what we have going.
That's great. Oh, we have another question.
Yeah.
Will there be a whitelist for your NFTs?
So we have slightly talked about it. This is another thing that we don't have the details 100% solidified on it. What we have talked about is the first initial 50 will have just like a early launch discount where we're planning on only having them sell for 0.075. And then once they get past those first initial 50, they'll be 0.1. And so it's just an early kind of thing. As far as if we're paying attention to chat, we're engaged in chat, you're engaged in the community, you'll know exactly when they're coming. And so then, you know, as with them being involved in our community and active, that they'll, like I said, they'll know when it's there, to where it's kind of a in our opinion, a reward towards the community for being involved with what we have going on.
We have another question. Single guy for you says, how are you going to build your Oscar team for your cryptocurrency?
Well, with the team's kind of built itself. You know, people that listen to me and listen to the way they talk and hear. Oh, I dropped my phone.
That's okay.
Yeah,
That's fine. It happens all the time. My camera goes
yeah,
out. It's
yeah.
fine.
And so the team is kind of building itself by people that they understand the vision, they understand the passion, they understand the desire to want to do better. And so those people that understand this, they're involving themselves a lot more. They're making themselves known in chat, and when people have questions, that they are really like taking it upon themselves to know the details of what's going on. And so that's how we got JD. We have because we have a lot of other people, Yak, that have been really big in our community, to where they've taken the time to invest into us and become a bigger part, to where the team is building itself by people that want to actually be there. And we've all kind of talked about, I've even invited Because to come live with me, you know, if he wanted to, because he of the kind of work that he's getting into, as far as running heavy equipment and everything else. And so where I'm at, I think there's some really good positions for him, if you want to come live with me.
Wow, really?
Yeah,
You want to
no,
come live
he's
with me? That's
I
okay,
have
you're
faith. I
very
have faith in this
trusting.
man. I have talked to him a lot. I understand where his morals are and everything that he says and everything that he's done, and the private, conversations that we've just had, just sitting there for hours talking. Well, we're up in the middle of the night. It sometimes, many times actually during this entire week, I've slept on the couch the last 2 nights in a row, because my wife will go to bed at 9 o'clock, and I'll stay on here to be in chat and to be in the spaces until 3 a.m. or whenever I literally just fall over sleeping and don't even realize it. And so, some of these guys have been up. I don't know if Canyon, Kanon, is in chat. That man has sat up and stayed up talking to me many times, to where it's like, just what is about whatever it's life and everything, where that's where these guys are sitting here. It's not that I'm building the community, it's the community is building itself, and the team is building itself by by making it to where we are engaging together, and just getting to know each other, instead of it just being strict, this is all we talk about, only the project, only the what we're going to do. It's not even close to that. We're we my wife has even talked a few times in my place and laughed at some of the things the guys have said, and that it's just it. And I say guys is a overall view, right? We do have some women in there, not very many. There is one woman specifically that has been with us since the very launch. She sat there with me, while I was stressing out in the very beginning, when I was having issues with locking the tokens, because I didn't have enough to afford it, because I didn't pre-plan, lack of experience and everything else. And while I'm sitting there stressing and having to add more money to get everything situated, she sat there. Her name's Wavy, and so I've changed her name in our Telegram to Lady Oscar, just because she's stuck around. She's an amazing person and very, very calm and level headed, where she's helped out quite a bit. And so she's not as active as I'd like her to be, but it's not for everybody all the time.
Right, I hear you. And if somebody's donating their time, like you got to
Yeah.
just take what you can get and be grateful.
Yeah.
So, looking back at the chart, you had mentioned that you bought this token for the first time yesterday.
Yesterday. Yeah.
So, you were able to get in
I
at a
think.
good place where it just kind of was accumulating right down here in the
Yeah.
16s and 17s. Today, you had a big, huge spike. At one point, you were up almost 250%.
Yeah.
And for anybody that is just coming into chat, that happened because he was talking with the team over at Shibnobi, and he's got some of the people from there getting into this token. So that's why it kind of ran up as much as it did. But even though there was, you could see the wick is very long, so there was some profit taking there. but we are
Yeah.
still up 46% on the day. And so will you make your wallet public in this project, or is that
I mean,
your
like,
private wallet?
I I mean, it's my private wallet. There's only 3 billion in there. I didn't get a whole lot. Got in right around 164,000 market cap. I think it was right below zero point 0.2 ETH of what I was actually able to get into it. And so it's not very much, but I mean, if it comes to a point where, you know, it's a desire for the community, I guess, yeah, I can definitely do that.
And right now you have, well, according to Dex Tools, which is not always accurate, it says there's 97 holders. But on
Um,
Etherscan, it says there's 106 holders.
I would say the Etherscan is probably definitely a lot more reliable, because, you know, there was a point where we were up at 107, and then over these couple days where we had the kind of the where it's finding itself, we had dropped, I believe, down to 95 holders total. Just because some people decided they didn't want to hang out with us anymore, and it wasn't their hold anymore, which is totally okay. You know, we're not expecting everybody to stay for forever, but yeah. And then Sean, I see he just mentioned, or he's got a little chat up there. He's active in chat a lot too. And then um,
We have another question from Single Guy for you. What is Oscar's, well, the dev's name is Jeremiah. What is Jeremiah's background in blockchain technology?
so um, I don't really have a huge background in the blockchain technology. Where everything really makes sense to me as far as the code and everything else. It kind of all starts back when I was, you know, 17, 18, 19 years old. Where I grew up, when I grew up back then, there wasn't really any like sort of tuners for cars. And so I was getting into like messing with Subarus and Evos and whatnot, and working on tuning the ECUs exactly for airfield ratios, timing, everything else. So what I was doing there is I was running everything through a system called EvoScan and open source ECU tuning. And so I taught myself how to run a lot of that and tuning my own Evo that I was running at the time, you know, a whole bunch of stuff going on with that. That then moved into what my actual career ended up being, which was gold mining. In gold mining, I started out as kind of a grunt, learning the force and everything and how everything was working. But I moved into what is known as a control room operator, where I had full control of belt speeds, engine speeds, motor speeds, cyanide addition, caustic addition, all these different chemicals, as well as water flow and everything else. To where I had to have the entire plant ultimately balanced to keep continuous flow through the entire system, and to be able to pull the gold out of the solution itself and out of the ore. Now, with that, you know, I had roughly 16 computers in front of me at all times, and having to constantly monitor all these different set points to where, things just kind of, you had to have a ability to pay attention to the fine details, which a lot of the times it was just numbers and code, and just seeing how things were operating together. With that, how I attribute it is that when I went into looking at code and reading the code and learning how to modify the code through Remix and all these other different platforms of which are used to ultimately deploy contracts and edit contracts and write contracts, it fell in place really, really easy as far as being able to read functions and just see how things were, as far as, you know, setting up stuff towards exact wallets, how things were going to go with the taxes. Now, I'm not 100% perfect on it. I'm not a developer or anything. I can know how to modify it, know how to write my own little additions and whatnot. But ultimately, I didn't do it. I have a contract that is built and supplied by Kaiba DeFi. And so, but I taught myself how to do all this in case if I didn't have somebody to rely on to fall back on in case if I had a problem on something, because everybody's not always available and with any sort of concern or issues that may come up with a contract. And so, my wife sat beside me. Well, there was many nights, I think it was like 3-4 weeks of just sitting there, just constantly, going through the Ethereum test network through Ropsten or Rinkeby, and going into these and testing the contract to make sure that, trades can go through, that sales can go through, that everything can go through, and testing different things as far as adding liquidity, really just teaching myself most everything I could think of trying to test without actually deploying. Because when you go into, actually firing something up, that there's stuff you just don't think about. The numbers are a lot different. The costs are different. Everything in a roundabout sense, more or less, just the cost is different. And so that's where I didn't prepare myself properly for when I added liquidity. And then when it came to having to afford to pay for the lock is where I didn't budget properly, to where I
How much
ended up
did that
having.
cost? Like, how much does it cost to launch a token, and how much did you think it was going to cost?
So the average cost of deploying a contract varies significantly, a lot. And so, I'll pull mine up in a second while I'm still talking to see exactly what mine cost me when I deployed it. But I've seen it anywhere from as low as $175, depending on gas fees, all the way up to roughly like $3,000, depending on like when gas fees were really hovering around like 400 and 250 to 300 GUI, where it was just astronomical. Everybody hated Ethereum for it. And so with that, like we got in pretty good at the time that we did.
While you're looking that up, I just want to
Mhm.
read a very special comment that's on the screen by Lindsay. Jeremiah has been dedicated to this project. He always works hard to teach himself and learn new skills. When he is passionate about something, he gives it his all to see it through. Proud of him, wife. So
Yep.
this is your wife.
Yep. Yeah,
That's so
she's sitting
sweet.
at home with my with our
That's so
kids
sweet.
right now.
Now she's like, he's been sleeping on the couch talking to his boyfriends all night. What the?
Yeah.
What?
I
He's
guess
got a new BFF,
if you
Lindsay.
if you want to put it that way, I did, invite Because to come live with me. So yeah. Oh man, I feel like I'm gonna turn red from that one.
Single Guy for You has another question. I think, why is Oscar Coin an ERC token, especially with the expensive gas fees, transfer bugs, and irreversible transactions?
So with how I personally look at it, is that in my opinion, is kind of like the iPhone versus Android, right? A lot of people that buy an iPhone, they stick with an iPhone. If they buy an Android, they usually stick with an Android because those are what they ultimately learn first when they jumped onto this whole thing of these two companies taking over the whole smartphone platform, right? And so ERC20 and Ethereum is ultimately what I found first and what I learned how to look at and read and find everything going through on Dex tools. And so it's kind of what I stuck with. It's what I learned, is what I knew, And when you go to jump into BSC, it's like a whole new world that you have to learn all over again. And so I didn't go that route. It's just not what I knew. So I stuck with the ERC20, where I was already up to date on a lot of things going on. There's still so much coming out that you're never really up to date. There's no day off in the world of crypto.
Right.
And
And I have to say that the majority of people that are purchasing cryptocurrency, they're more familiar with MetaMask and
yeah,
Uniswap. That's usually the first thing that they're getting onto. It's someone for their first wallet rarely gets a trust wallet and
yeah,
goes on to Pancake. Like, that's never the first wallet that I've ever. It's always MetaMask.
right,
Everyone's always MetaMask and Uniswap. Well, all the
yeah.
people that I've ever talked to. So, and I'm
So
sorry I cut you off again,
no,
but
you're totally fine. So my contract to launch my contract specifically was $737.
okay.
And so that was something that I couldn't entirely figure that out or prejudge it, right? So when you go to deploy, it gives you an estimate of what it's going to be based off of gas and expected gas to be used or GUI to be used. And so that's where I try to wait until roughly 5 o'clock in the afternoon, to hoping that it's going to drop significantly to where we won't have like 100 or 200 run up on GUI all of a sudden, to where it's going to cost me, $1,500 to be able to do this. And so I think getting through at 737, I was totally okay with it. It wasn't something that was going to stop me. It gave me the fact of having a little bit less Ethereum to be able to add to the initial liquidity pool. And then with that, the fees just, I didn't, I didn't budget everything right. And so I ran out. And with locking on Unicrypt, I found out it is it's I believe a set price of $500 on locking your very first time. And so that wasn't something that was in my favor. So that's where our liquidity lock actually landed up in the team finance, because I think it ended up being roughly $180 to lock on there.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, the only thing with that is that link is not there on Dex Tools. So if someone's just looking at it, it's hard to know if indeed your liquidity is locked, because
The team lock, it's there. It's right next to, so it's a little blue lock.
The team lock, because usually
Yeah.
it just goes to well, let's pull it up. Hold on a second.
Yeah. So this is where it's going to
There it
say
is.
the 58% is locked. Like I said, I was on the phone with the developer, or not developer. Yeah, the developer with I'm going to pull them up real quick. I was just talking to them not too long ago. Gabe. Many people are come on. Brew Labs. That's it. It was Brew Labs. So I was on the phone with them specifically because I could get a hold of them pretty quick, and they were going through a full breakdown of everything, trying to help me figure out why that team lock is showing 58% specifically, because everything that they're pulling up shows 100%. Everything that we're finding is 100%. I know I locked 100%, and then so I got a hold of List, and they were able to phone's at 10%. They were able to get the contract to run through Safe Solidity. And so with that, I do have a screenshot from Safe Solidity that is showing that we do have 100% locked through the team lock location. And so it's got to be something in the way that they're reading it, their software or something is just not calculating everything properly to show that we do have 100% lock.
Yeah, because it's only showing a little over 4 ETH as being locked up. Okay.
Yeah. And so, but like I said, I do have the Etherscan link if that is something that we do need to supply to, for people can go and look that all the tokens that were allocated directly to Uniswap are 100% locked.
Okay. And getting back to your friend here that helped you out. So this is the one that you were like, "Hey, come live with me."
No,
Web
this
dev?
is JD. I don't know if he wants me to give his exact location or way, but he is 6 hours ahead of me, so he is across the pond.
Okay.
But no, because is the one that I said, "Hey, come live with me."
Okay. All right. And might he take you up on that?
I don't think so. I don't know. We never know.
It would be strange, right? Like,
No, I don't know.
It'd be
I think
strange.
with my way of life and how I've done things in the past, especially with having kids now, it'll be definitely different as far as like the way, like if we just wouldn't let him just come move in right away. Of course, I'd meet the guy. But as far as, like I said, as far as everything of what he's talked to me about, the way he comes across, the way he talks about how he lives his life and everything else, and the fact that he's having a baby soon here too.
Oh,
yeah, no, he's having a baby soon too. So I think he told me any day is when his baby's supposed to be coming. But
so we have another question from Single
yeah.
Guy for you. Is the project open source?
Open source.
I think he's talking about your smart contract. Can anybody view it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, if you were to go onto, if you want to pull it up on Dex Tools, and we can, have it up on here directly. So if you were to pull it up, you can look at the contract directly, and you can see that there is a green check mark next to it. So yeah, with the Etherscan tab.
Oh, actually, I already have Etherscan pulled up. Wait a sec. Oh, I thought I did have Etherscan. Oh, whatever. Okay.
Yeah. Here, I think your computer's rugging you.
What? Can you see me?
Yeah,
Oh, wait. Wait.
it's not loading. Or there we go. So up at the top, scroll up a little bit. So right there to the upper right, you got that contract. You can click on that, and then scroll down a little bit where it's going to say contract, and there's going to be a green check mark next to it. And so this is where, if you scroll down just a little bit, that's where you start getting into all the fine details of the code, where you can go and read everything in there. There is no imported code from GitHub or anything else. That all the functions are there 100%. They are
So
belong
this
to
wasn't
this
like
code.
copy and paste. This was something that you.
This is one of Kaiba DeFi's contracts specifically. Now, how much they use this contract, I can't say. I know they're going to make specific detail changes to it. But it's got their smart coding in it for optimization of Ethereum gas fees and everything else. But it is all ran through Remix network on the deployment. If that's where he was referring to, also with this specific coding, and so
there it is. Single guy for you. If you want to go check it out and comb through it and whatever it is that you want to look at, there it is.
Yeah, the dev wallet's in there, the marketing wallet, everything is in there, the owner wallet, everything's there. And so if you wanted to pull those up to be able to go chase anything, that's, it's all on the blockchain.
So there you go. It seems like, very transparent, I'll have to say. So that's wonderful. So
Yeah.
let's see. We have a lot more. Hold on a second. Now the comments are just rolling on in.
Yeah.
Someone said you are a very wholesome guy. They'd put their money on you because I'm a veteran looking for work, and really Jeremiah just wants to help out as many people as he can. So you guys are really broskies there, huh? And Lindsay
Yeah.
says again, he spent a ton of time with his community and they have really supported him through launching this project. Single Guy for You says, what companies are you partnered with or are you seeking to partner with?
So specifically on the crypto side, my major supporter ultimately of who I will be partnering with directly is going to be List. List is going to be our
And
biggest.
I just want to mention that we went through a lot of this at the beginning. I don't know if you jumped in late, but we talked. Okay. I'm sorry. Go on.
Oh, you're fine. No, I was just gonna kind of harp on it a little bit. That List is somebody that token that we are going to be, like I said, we're following a lot of the platform of what they set themselves up for. I really feel that that's going to be a big project. It's gonna, it's got a lot of trust and transparency built into it, and I believe that that's a huge thing and a huge way to move forward. And if we can keep projects moving that same way, to where if somebody has a question or whatever, it's all there. We're not trying to hide anything, and that with that, we're going to be able to build, safer communities and more open communities to where we're going to be able to have people in a spot where they trust that they're going to be able to sleep through the night without worrying about their actual token chart dropping. I mean, we have a few sells right now, but that's a common thing. It's going to happen. You can't control other people's money. And so if they don't want to be with us anymore, then it is what it is.
And hey, listen, God bless America. We still live in a free country. We can do what we want with our money. And, this doesn't necessarily mean somebody dumped their entire bag. They might have taken profits and they're leaving just, some in there. But, people, that's the golden rule. You should pinch profits when there's profits. And just let's say somebody put an Ethereum into a charity token and the price went up 250%. Just because you pulled out half of it to make, either your initial investment along with a little bit of profit doesn't mean you don't support the project or the charity. But the golden rule is take your profits. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. And like I said, it doesn't mean somebody's totally out or that they're not supportive of your charity.
Right. And I support it too, when people do that, because ultimately, like, the amount of relief that you take off your chest when you take that initial out, like, I don't know if everybody recognizes it, just how much emotion you take out of it from like constantly watching it and worrying about what it's doing every time, because you have your money in it. Now, if you're up, 2x or whatever, if you take that initial out and, be respectful about it instead of, putting in $250 and then your bag runs up to $4,500 and you take the entire thing all at once, it's not the most respectful way of doing it. But we can't control that. But when going back to the fact of how if you just take that initial out and leave the rest in there, your emotion and your feeling is relieved so much, and you have so much stress relieved off of your chest from being able to just say, yeah, I have my money back, and this is the house money now, and it's going to do what it wants to do, and it takes a lot of stress out of you ultimately.
So here's another question, single guy, for you has, are your employees going to be paid in tokens? If so, do they have a lockup period before they can sell in the open market?
No, they will not be paid in tokens. I actually paid JD today because I felt that he has done such an incredible job that he was doing all of this completely free, even with doing his own job and everything else, that he was doing this on his own time, staying up till 1, 2 in the morning to get everything going. And so I felt that it was completely fair to compensate JD for his time and for everything he has done. I paid him 0.25 ETH, which is, in my opinion, extremely fair. Now, I haven't discussed this with the community yet. It was just a little bit ago. And what he did is he took that right and put it right back on the chart. And he didn't take it home. And so I sent it to him and he said, hey,
paid in Ethereum?
Yes, I paid him from the marketing wallet in Ethereum.
Okay, perfect. And another super chat. Thank you so much. Message the big whales if you want duck some crypto taxes. Here is your answer. Dump it in here and claim Oscar as your tax write-off. So when are you, tell the community again, you've applied for the charity status, the certificate, so that people can write this off as a charity?
The 501c3 is going to take some time. I was just talking to another token earlier in one of our Twitter spaces that they have applied for theirs, and it's taken, they still don't have it, but they only applied like 3 weeks ago. That I've talked with MediToken.
I did an AMA with them.
Yeah.
Yep. And they still haven't gotten their 501c3?
From what I know is that they do not have it yet. And they've been out for, I think, 4 or 5 months now. I think it's 5 months now is that they've been out. And so I actually, I've spoken with them directly on their personal phone numbers too, as far as them, coming out and helping mentor me a little bit through the route of actually applying for it and what it's going to take. And so those guys are, great, MediToken, if they are one of the ones that we would really love to be able to partner with in some sort of fashion down the road, just because of what they do actually bring to the space. And yes, the 501c3 is something that will be coming, and it's just something that takes time.
We do have another question, single guy, for you. I don't know if this guy's like really, maybe certainly thinking about investing here because he's very interested. What milestones do you have in place? How will you let investors know when said milestones are achieved? And sorry for all the questions. Hey, single guy, for you, that's why this is called an Ask Me Anything. You are more than entitled to ask anything you want. Let's just keep it rated G, though.
Yeah.
Okay. The missus is on the line.
I don't know who single guy is. At least we don't have anybody in our community that is
he could be a potential investor, I'm thinking, because he does have a lot of questions, and he seems to know what to ask when somebody's thinking about putting their money into a cryptocurrency. He's asking those kinds of questions.
Yeah. And so the milestones we've kind of already harped on a little bit too, as far as our first initial, I call it a short-term milestone, just because we are focusing on the water wells right now. And our goal specifically to hit is 5 of them that are specifically sponsored. And like I said, we are trying to push as hard as we can with the charity itself to where we can, do what we can to try and get them to put them in specific rural villages that has been requested from our community. And so with that is, it's our short-term goal. Long-term, like I said, is definitely moving more towards the quality of school education, of quality of shelters, finding ways of how we can help. This is maybe something that we can team with MediToken in a route, because they are about the medical field, to where, if we can find some way to help provide some sort of, easier access to the medical field over there, as in case anything happens,
Right.
um,
Would you
there's,
potentially put a roadmap up on your website and just,
yeah,
people like to see check marks to see that you've done things and just check, check, check.
yeah, no, we'll definitely get on that. I'll get something written up, and then, I'll be calling on JD to make it look good, because he is our graphic designer for sure when it comes to our websites.
Yeah, it's the website is beautiful.
Yeah,
Because initially they did have a website up that was just very basic and very plain. This one is very dynamic and
yeah,
interactive. It's beautiful, and he did a wonderful job on this.
yeah. That was me. I made the first one. I'll take credit for how bad it was. Um, but it's really you know we need. I thought I was okay. On a basic side of things. I've never really been as much as I know about other things, such as the codes and coding and writing, that kind of stuff. I'm not a designer by any means. And that's where, JD, I say he's the one that is making this token, because with that, people are going to take us a lot more serious than what I had up.
Right, it's so important to
Yeah.
admit your weaknesses and
Yeah.
delegate that to somebody that's their strengths to make it look
Yeah.
good, and, as a developer, you have to wear many hats, but it's good to say, "Okay, you know what? I made this look like crap, you do it. You
Yeah. Yeah.
if you're gonna make it look good, you do it."
Yeah, and so this is exactly why, like I said, JD's not part of the team. I mean, I am the team ultimately. I had friends that I talked to that really helped push me to make this happen, and made me stop second guessing myself, and just really just take the leap to be able to provide the service and helping with the charity and everything else, and um, that's where I felt that, with everything that JD has done and the way that this looks and how professional it is and the way that he's going to make everything happen so much more, I felt like it was entirely needed to, make JD feel like he's taken care of and not just being taken advantage of. That's why I made the decision today to compensate him for the work that he has done for us.
Yeah, it's really beautiful, and man, if you had to go out and pay for a website, they are very expensive.
Yeah.
Some of them that are just very simple, and you'd be shocked to see or to know how much they can cost. They can cost upwards of $10,000, and they look maybe not even as
Yeah.
nice as this. So it
And
is a very costly venture to put up a website. You can get lucky and maybe got a nerdy kid who could do it for free, but not
yeah.
everybody has that.
And the fact that JD is so heavily involved in the crypto space too, that like across the top, he's got everything. Like he has the the ERC20 Dex Tools link, the Uniswap link, the everything is literally there, appointed towards a lot of the crypto side, to where it is, you can tell that it's crypto based, and so he knows exactly what to look for. Whereas if I went to some random website designer and said, hey, we need all this information, they'll be like, well, what is that? Why would we even put that there? And
Right.
so he knows the taste and what the community ultimately would like to see.
And we do have another question from Single Guy for You. Will the token holders have the right to participate in the governance project in the future? What kind of decisions can they vote on about the project? But you're not a DAO, right?
No, we're
But
just
will the community ever have a say as
the
far as
community
that
has a
goes?
say. Community has a say in everything. I randomly, post stuff the community is primarily the Telegram, right? Um, I've never really been one to utilize Discord very much, so I don't really navigate that very well.
I hate
Um,
Discord. It confuses me.
yeah,
I don't
and
know. I don't know
so
what's going on. I can't get over there. Like, what the
yeah,
heck? They need to
yeah, and
like make
so
that dummies
Telegram,
version for me, I guess.
yeah, Telegram is primarily where our community is going to be, and if it's not there, then it's actually talking in Twitter Spaces, and so that is exactly where we are. But I've put up a bunch of different things on our chat and everything else, to where I asked them, like, should we make this decision? Should we go this route, or and they help me make decisions on if we want to, choose a certain AMA if we do go that route. And we had to talk about, another one that we are doing this Saturday that we don't really need to talk about right now, but we do have another one signed up for Saturday that, the community ultimately brought it to us, and we made a decision on what we wanted to do, and with their input, and we've decided to move forward. And so that's where, we wanted to really push and have the AMA with you, because we know what you ultimately can do for the community too.
Well, I hope I can bring you some new investors. That would be my, anytime that there's a charity, I'd always like to help a charity. And as you had mentioned before, this is a free AMA. I didn't charge you because you're a charity, and it's a great charity. I'm all for making the world a better place, especially when it comes to children, helping out children, make sure that they have clean water to drink. And I mean, so many children die every year because they don't have clean water. It's
Right.
shocking to know the numbers of children that we lose because of that.
Yeah.
So I think that this is a very noble cause, and it was my pleasure to have you on so that you could tell everybody about it and how they can become involved with it if they're interested in, you know, becoming an investor. And hey, donating to a good cause and making some money on the side. It's a win-win,
Yeah.
I think,
And
when you're dealing with a token
yeah.
that's well run with a team of devs that know what they're doing. It's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah. No, I totally agree.
Having said that, can you believe we're on here for like an hour and 21 minutes already, Jeremiah?
It's gone by quick.
It
I bet
really
when
has.
I
Our
get home, my babies are going to be asleep. I'm going to have to maybe go wake them up and give them a little kiss and everything once I get in there. And, but yeah, no, it's gone by really fast, actually. And so I hope I didn't talk too much and, make your ears hurt.
No, you did wonderful. I think you represented your token and your project really well. You answered all of the questions really well. I hope we answered Single Guy for you all his questions, and I hope he's, very serious about investing into the project, because it seems like he asked all of the right questions for somebody that's really thinking about getting in.
Yeah.
So I hope that he does. Jeremiah, is there any finishing touches or just a final salvo to our listeners here to convince them that they should purchase into Oscar Charity Token, not only to make some money, but for a good cause? And I'll let you take it from there.
You know, there's a lot of things. I mean, if you want to be in a space where you know where your money's going, where everything's going, I think that we're there. Everything's open. We're very transparent. If you have questions on anything as far as anything really, we're there. Even if it's not about our token, if you have concerns on other tokens, where if you want help on looking at Etherscan, on if there's something you're scared of, right? Like in a Twitter space that we were in today, somebody came up, said, hey, I'm looking at this project. It looks really promising. It's also claiming to be a charity. And we looked into it, and it abused the idea, where it was a rug. And that's where, if we can help people from looking at stuff, whereas how we kind of walked into looking at the code and everything on our token specifically, that you can go in and look at all where everything's going, and watch their transfers, watch everything. And I guess where I'm going with that, is we're trying to form a community to where it doesn't have to be about us all the time. And we'd really love that if people wanted to talk or had any concerns or anything, that, just come and jump in with us, and we're more than willing to share what we can with you. And that's what we want our community to be.
That's great. And whenever I tell my subscribers, if you're interested in, investing into a token project, whatever it is that you're looking to invest in, always join their social media platforms, because
Yeah.
that's where you're going to get all the leaks about the projects. That's where the developers are first going to start talking to their community, become involved with the community, see what the community is saying about the token. If there's any buzz or any rumors, you're going to hear it all there first. So it's very important to be attached to that and know what's going on. So
Yeah.
I believe in the description box below, I have a link to your website, and your website does have a link that people can just tap on the Twitter sign and get to Twitter and tap on the Telegram symbol, and that'll bring you on over to Telegram. So I encourage everybody, if you're interested, please go check those out. This is a really good cause to get behind. Who doesn't want to help kids get
Right.
fresh water, fresh, clean water? And plus, you're going to be donating to other charities in the future. And Single Guy for You said one last thing. He said, I hope you can bring him back so that we're able to see the progress on his project. And absolutely, Jeremiah, I'd love to have you back in a couple of months just to check on to see how Oscar Charity Token is doing and to see how you're progressing. And from there, I wish you the absolute best of luck. May God be with you. May God bless you and your family and your babies.
No,
And
thank you.
I hope he lays
And so,
blessings upon this entire project so that you can help as many people as you possibly can.
yeah. So if anybody does jump in chat right after this, I will be posting our 10th donation. I just made one while we were just finishing up right here. And I didn't even think about it. I can't even share it right here too, because we're on my phone and that's where primarily most of my emails go. And I can't look at it on my computer right beside me at the moment. But we will have that to where we have, a total of 2.5 ETH so far. And yeah, we're just going to keep going and making things better as we go.
That's
and
wonderful.
I'd
Great.
love to be on in a couple months too, because it's going to be here before we even know it.
I know it really will.
And so,
Look, it's an hour and a half already. Geez, where did
yeah,
that time go? The older you get, the faster time goes. I'm
yeah,
telling you.
yeah.
Well,
I
that's going
feel
to
it.
do it here for us today. Please remember the links for Oscar Charity Token are in the description box below if you want to go check them out. Please join their Telegram. And I believe Jeremiah just said he's going to be there live in a little bit. So if you want to hang
Yeah,
out with the Oscar Charity Token, is it Telegram?
yeah. So
Correct.
we've moved everything. Everything says Oscar Charity Token now. So our exact, where everything is, streamlined through everything. We just got our Facebook and we just got our Instagram up, and so those are pretty bare right at the moment as we continue to update and put no new posts on them. But everything is Oscar Charity Token.
Fabulous. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it here for us tonight. I thank you so very much for joining me, and I hope you consider buying into Oscar Charity Token. It is a noble, beautiful cause. Well, that's going to do it here for us.